Australians flat burn. Hey, there we go. Hair's very poofy right now. Hi, how you doing? Good to see you. I know it's Saturday. Here I am. I ran out of time for all the things I wanted to do yesterday because we did that, because that Trump interview was so dash darn long. So I decided that I'd come out here and finish up where I left off. Yeah. And pick up and do some fun stuff there. So I have. Here I am in the afternoon doing a weird accent. What the fuck? Anyways. Let's see. The first one being all right. Well, no, not that one. Let's do this one because I feel like this one's the funny one right out of the gate. A couple of these things landed on the Bannon wart room. The wart on the ass of the interview, the interwebs. That is the Steve Bannon wart room, and all the best warts all in one place. Hi, chat room. Hello, San Diego. Look at that, 15-month sub. Love you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Yes, American hero Mike Pillow. Mike is now dressing from the Glenn Beck collection. I think I had this shirt in high school. As a matter of fact, I very well may have possibly won the funniest teenager in Chicago contest. Funniest teenager in Chicago contest in wearing this shirt in Chicago in 1985. It's 86. Yeah. And so, hi everybody. He is clashing with it. I don't know if it's his couch. We've talked about this before. I keep thinking he looks like he's in a chiropractor's waiting room. Yes. Not all heroes wear flannel. This will be a joy. Anyways, this is a positive message, and I thought, Saturday we don't let this go by without it being a positive message. Sure, this Cyber Ninjas thing ain't shit. And by the way, Francis from Crooks and Liars, I just retweeted an article from Crooks and Liars on my Twitter feed, and she was, I guess she was watching this morning and noticed all the stuff I was talking about Cyber Ninjas on the radio this morning, and I noticed she was basically feeding me stories while I was doing hey, check this out. And it was amazing. And I just didn't see it until after the show. So, because I got too much, I got too many balls already in the air as a juggler. So, I missed what you were saying, but after all the fall apart of Arizona, it's none of this stuff. I'm telling you. I always said this shit wasn't going anywhere. I gotta call out some folks in that you guys were a bit nervous when he first started presenting this stuff. Could what he's saying take seed and convince some people who are otherwise sane to believe this bullshit? And I was like, no, no, it's all garbage. It's gonna stay garbage. It's hot garbage. It's hot garbage stew. And just because he hands you a spoon, he can't convince you it's Campbell's Chunky. No, it's not. It's garbage. It was always garbage. It's going to be garbage. It's going to stay garbage. You got it? So, when and then he would come up with another movie maybe this time. Okay. Oh, God. What if this time he's right about that? No. And so what did I do? What did I do right alongside you guys? I brought you along, kicking and screaming in some cases early on in this. I was like, watch it with me. Here you go. Y'all, I know you're nervous about what he's saying, and somehow, what if and how if they convince somebody to turn over and they'll walk it, and they'll take a normally sane person, and no, everybody who believed this bullshit is either a liar or is insane, and they are either sticking to their lie because they don't feel like there's any way out now, or they're clinically insane, and they haven't been medicated or sought therapy or fixed themselves in some other way. And the folks that are liars, of those, there's been a few that have been like, all right, the lie's too much, I'm tapping out, right? But the rest of it it's fucking hot garbage. It's gonna be hot garbage. It's this nonstop hot garbage. Mike Lindell's lives in a world of hot garbage, and you have nothing to fear from Mike Lindell ever. Mike Pillow is a mess. He's a mess. And he was a mess. He's been a mess, and he's going to stay a mess until, I guess, some lightning bolt reveals itself from the sky as he looks up like his hero, Donald Trump, seeking an eclipse with his wide open eyes, and gets struck by lightning. And I'm trying, Vincent. I'm doing what I can. And I think I'm pretty good at this stuff at this point. There's no turning back. He's committed to this lie. This dude is addicted to the big dumb lie. He has transferred one addiction to a new. It is a fairly common endeavor. Now, let's see. Of course, there's an ad. Steve Bannon's got legal bills to pay. Everyone who believes in God should watch this. It might save you. What does she see him in the sky? Wait, is that God? Kamala Harris spots God, the third star to the right, and keep on till morning.
It's stunning. It's a couple of people deep, and it goes for miles and miles and miles. This is just down.
It's a couple of people deep, and it goes miles and miles and miles. It's the same assholes. It's a couple of people deep.
I'm driving by. Here's my point. You look at the numbers. He's up 5 on Biden. What is Merrick Garland going to do? Merrick Garland's going to go after a guy. You're telling me Merrick Garland's going to go after a guy that is up 5 to 8 points on Biden right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Bannon knows this or anybody else knows this, that your legal debt to society is not based on poll numbers. You don't get to gain ground on, so it doesn't matter. And it's Rasmussen, so who cares?
Sinking like a stone, and it only gets worse from here.
Yeah, you think so? Did Joe Biden have to take out a loan on a piece of property he didn't even own this week to pay for legal bills he's got for something that he doesn't think he even has to fight? Or was that somebody else?
A disaster. Biden's lied to the country. He lied about he looked people in the eye and lied about the testing, that they knew the Omicron kind of mutations were going to start coming. Okay, and in September they decided not to do it. So he was too incompetent. They didn't include him in the decision, which could happen because he doesn't make a lot of decisions over there. They just make them, and he won.
I guess the idea is that they're going to dial back the testing and not have as many tests. And it was all a big plan to H1N1 their way out of this, which, by the way, is what everyone is suggesting they do. And that they now, after the fact, after Omicron's been out for a little while, but before Omicron, they were going to start dialing back the testing and pretend it was going to go away. This is an extension of on November 4th, you'll never hear of COVID ever again.
Around. Or he made it, doesn't remember it, and lied to the American people. My point is he's sinking like a stone. These are the worst numbers in the first year of presidency in American history.
And yet, out of a war, 2 major bills passed, best economic growth in history. And so really it's all just a media problem. Meanwhile, Trump might have benefited from media softballs the entire time he was in office, even when they were shitting on him, just always kind of going, well, he is president still, instead of going, he is a 24 times accused sexual assaulter and a complete creep and a total loser. Also, who happens to be president, without that kind of constant, like, well, let's try and find some balance here most of the time. Even the people who hated him, talking about him as he's president, literally a legit president, whether they felt it or not. Meanwhile, Biden seems to be doing all this stuff, and the polling, why isn't the polling having more of an effect on him? Why isn't he taking it personally? Why isn't he hearing "Let's Go Brandon" and breaking down internally and flipping out on and sending out messages for 3 days like Trump does when Biden calls him a loser? Why won't he do it? Why won't he collapse? Yeah, that's right. And meanwhile, DeSantis, who's the great white hopeless of the 2024, well, if Trump's not going to run, who else crowd, let 1 million COVID tests expire. And while they expected other variants, the surprise of Omicron being that it is so contagious, you need so many more tests, blah, blah.
Even though they didn't do a lot of polling back then, I would throw James Buchanan into that match. So, Mike, I really want to thank you. Before you get started, because I know there's opinion.
by the way, Mike pays to be on the show.
Doing everything, and I know you got a lot of thoughts on you've spent, I saw an article, we put it up the other day, $25 million out of your own pocket to get to the bottom of 3 November. You had a very powerful thing the other day about this being a spiritual war at the end of the day.
Is it? Because it's been a financial war at the beginning. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money I've spent, because it's gone, and it's not coming back. It's as if I took that money and gave it to Jim Bakker and said, "Pray for me, O true and worthy holy man." What kind of return on investment can I expect from my $25 million in terms of a prayer from Jim Bakker? There should be an even exchange, right? Maybe I'll get a nice 1.7% annually on that. No? At the end of it all, my money is like the Holy Ghost. It's invisible. I know it's there somewhere, or I like to believe it is, but if I try to smack it, it's gone.
Walk us through your thinking about that. Are we at war? Is this a spiritual war in this country? I know you and I, are on, and we're talking about this state, and ballots here and machines there and all this stuff. But at the end of the day,
aren't we punching ghosts?
Is this something at a greater and higher level, Mike Lindell?
Mike Lindell, isn't it truly aliens that threw in the votes and not volunteers from China posing as black 100%. Republicans?
This is if we don't. To me, it was. This is. It's been all on God's timing. It's been because everything that's happened, it had to all get revealed before we could have this great uniting and this revival. People don't look for. They don't look for hope or look to reach out for help unless things are going bad. And
I see. So this was. It's not that the maggot movement, who believe that the election was stolen and all this stuff, who've been time and time again shown that they are deluded assholes. It's not that they are waking up to the fact that not only they're being scammed by people like Steve Bannon and on the scammed by Mike Lindell while he scams his own pocketbook, and that America, it's not that they need to hit bottom. It's that America needs to hit bottom just so we appreciate who Donald Trump is. We don't, the only way we're ever going to come to appreciate Donald Trump is if we live in a burned out hole of a country and no one has any sense of until an authoritarian lunatic is our own path out of doom. That's why God wanted this to happen. Mike, who is his preacher? Where the fuck does this guy go to church? Oh, now it's a spirit. Yes, this is part of the giving up. You know what? It's on God's time. Anyways, let me go back to selling fucking pillows.
Oh, the spiritual battle, it's historical. It's of historical proportion.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's historical proportion. It's a big slice of shit.
If you look at all the things that line up from when I remember, Steve, when I first went on at the Rose Garden and said a nation had turned on his back on God, and
everybody went, "What the fuck? You're a Trump fan." The dude behind you used to go to barge in on nude teenagers in their dressing room on his his teen beauty pageant he had, and stick his thumbs in their mouth to check their teeth. He was having sex with Karen McDougal like 3 months after Barron was born. And thinks 2 Corinthians is how you pronounce 2 Corinthians. He held the Bible upside down. His family has a Bible. His dad had a family Bible. They brought it over. His mother's from Scotland. I think it might have been even from her maternal side. Did he have it in the White House? No. Did he bring it to the thing You know, when he stood in front of this is our family Bible, and we're standing here, and this is unity, blah, blah, blah. How easy was that? How easy, what an easy win for the religious right if this guy goes over with his family Bible. This has been in my family for generations. He didn't even have to read it at that point. He could have held up his own fucking family Bible and gone, this is the one we've had in my family for centuries. And they'd have gone, oh, dear Lord, wonderful. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. He must have gotten it through osmosis at some point. Maybe his mother hit him with it. And it just kind of seeped in. Yes. And somebody goes, is that your Bible? And he said, it's a Bible. At which point I was like, bullshit, it's probably a hymnal. Just the fact that he said it's a Bible. But no, it was not his. This idiot thinks that it's because he stood up there and said the nation needs to turn back to God, and we've had these, that's why people were upset. He has no ability to process the disconnect between him and a faux bullshit artist Christian personality like Donald Trump.
Said we got to spend time in the Word, spend time with our family, spend time in the Bible, and
less time on Telegram saying that baby eaters run the government. Did you leave that part out?
That moment on, I mean, everything got flipped on its head, from this China virus and the biggest crime ever with the election, and all these things happening. And now the stuff that's manifested from that, it's just all this evil. I mean, stuff that doesn't make sense. So you've got an administration in there that you were just saying, oh, this president, the lowest rates. He's not president. You're not president if you got there, but because of a complete fraudulent election.
Well, you wouldn't be, I suppose. Well, I mean, you'd have to ask George W. Bush about that. And I would say it was completely fraudulent. But the idea that it was completely fraudulent. That's the phrase you're using. We're going with completely fraudulent. So all the Republicans lost, all the ones that, the seats they gained in the House, those are all fake. That was all part of the fraud. I don't know. I think those guys should walk out of the government, quit like Parliament in Israel or the UK, right? This guy's not, well, he is, legally. And in reality.
This is a spiritual battle because you can just see evil rising its head. Isn't it something right now on this anniversary of January 6th? All the evil rising up again. All the media is bringing all these things out there. And
what do you mean, reporting on the 1-year anniversary of the worst attack on the Capitol since fucking the War of 1812 or whatever? You don't think they're gonna report? Have you ever seen? Where have you been when cable news is turned on 9/11? What?
It is. If we don't, at this time, we're in the greatest time ever to be alive.
All right, he's just falling back to this little phrase. This is his bailout. This is the end of his interviews too. When he, like Trump says, you're doing a great job and you're very well respected. That means he's done. This is how he wraps up the end. We're in the greatest revival of all time. This is his end argument. It's on God's time, and it's a great revival and a coming together. Like, this is where they are. And again, remember, people were nervous about this dude's going to convince some people. He's gonna make people think that he's not convincing shit. He's barely convincing himself these days. Steve Bannon knows this is bullshit. He just likes the power he can get over the people who believe it.
But hang on before we get to that. The media, when they say about the evil, they say that it is Donald Trump and his evil minions, Mike Lindell, Steve Bannon, and others that are the cause of that evil. What say you, Mike Lindell?
Well, no, I would say the cause of the cause of the ego of the evil in this situation, I can speak, is his ego. The cause of this evil is ego, is the desire, the lonely desire for significance and attention that none of these fuckers have. They have no sense of significance in their life. None. They're either brutally aware of their own insignificance, like Steve Bannon, and so they claw at trouble being a legacy or pain being a legacy of, I made you think about me. Like low low-res serial killer bullshit. Or a desperate sense of security, which is what Mike Lindell is looking for. Mike Pillow is seeking some sort of stable ground. Oh, the sign in front of it says we can do hard things with soft pillows.
Well, it's, I think it's in the Bible, where they say...
Where ego one, ego all. Oh my God, that's great, K-Link. That's so funny. I love that. That's them. Donald Trump, where ego one, ego all.
Sudden you get to end times where evil becomes good, and they say good is evil. I mean,
hey, dum-dum, we're not in the end times. Your bullshit is in the end times. Your stupid attempt to overthrow the United States government with the help of a bunch of saps is in its end times. Remember, you could call forth the end of the world, but it's usually very a local prediction.
This is the game that evil does, that they're playing, is going, okay, this is...
Dig Dug? Evil plays Dig Dug, doesn't he?
When they tell you something is fake news, it's true. I mean, it's like everything is...
Yeah, everything's backwards. If they tell you the Earth is round, it's clearly flat.
On his head. Anyone, it's like when you have someone accusing somebody of cheating, they're usually the cheater.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, there you have it. All right. This after a year and 3 months of this bullshit. Nail, meathead. I seriously, fucking put a pin in it. So what you're saying is that when Donald Trump calls everybody crooked and lying and all that kind of stuff, and when he says they're losers and they're schemers and they're ineffective and weak and stupid and they don't know how to do anything and all that, he just, what's the word? Projecting, my friend? Jesus Christ. Like, how is he going to, hold on, back that up. How is Steve Bannon going to respond to that? Just kind of go, oh, look at that, 666 in the super chat already, in the chat already. Thank you guys so much.
When you have cheating, they're usually the cheater. If they're cheating, I mean, they're calling us that because that's exactly what they did.
What?
They're the ones that, that went out and stole this election and are doing all these things that you can't explain because there's no common sense to it. And that's what they've done. When you can't explain anything, like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? And it doesn't help anyone. Well, know there's a hidden agenda. And they've been...
Yes, once again, when you can't explain why they're doing this, what the fuck, there's a hidden agenda. Yes, you are giving away Steve Bannon's entire methodology. Good Lord, man. I mean, it has to wind down to this. Mike Pillow, anybody around him, if you're listening, it's intervention time. There is no way there's a soft landing from this shit, no matter how many fucking pillows you throw on the ground. He's reaching the end time phase of his own bullshit. This is what cults do. You can track most cults as they start to flourish and fail. It's, it's all like, we got everybody in. Come on in. It's a big sex pile. And we're a freewheeling cult. And by the time the bill comes due, these assholes are like, the end times, they're going to come for us. They're going to try and destroy us. And I'm the only one standing between you and destruction. And I might have to destroy you first just for your own good. That's how this cult shit, when it flares up, always turns out. And that's it. As hilariously pathetic as this is, and I don't think he's going to he has the capability to go full Jim Jones or anything on himself or anybody else. On a personal level, this is just the beginning of the end of somebody winding down in a terrible way. This is not healthy. This is fucked up.
And this now for, what you look at this, Steve, when you take all the people like physicists like Dr. Doug Frank and people like Dr. Shiba and all these.
Frank is the guy who came up with the algorithm that goes state to state that tells you he knew what the margin of victory was going to be. I mean, in general, between registered votes and people who actually voted and who they voted for, and his algorithm had to be changed by state to state. So it wasn't, because it was a national attack. The Chinese attacked us nationally with this algorithm, but the algorithm was almost to the person at some point, and it actually followed most trends in available voting, and showed that he had to tweak it at every fucking race.
People, myself, yourself, I was never even into politics. I was a
All right. Thank you, Val. You're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I live stream this shit, so you don't have to watch it alone. And we just chip away at this nonsense. That's not a cat call. The Chip is not in the room. He's upstairs sleeping. He just had a big meal, and if I bring him down here, he'll fart on me. I just feel like it. That's my cat. And but you can like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, what have you. Infotainmentwars.com. Yada yada yada.
Crack cocaine addict, an ex-addict, and a CEO of a pillow company, and all of a sudden that all of us just changed overnight. We're all these conspiracy guys, and we're all doing these things.
Yes, you are, and it wasn't overnight. It took you 4 years to get this diluted, and it's going to take you a little while to detox, dumbo. Get over yourself.
We want to save our country. We care about our country. We care about people, all people.
All right, then why didn't you celebrate the infrastructure bill? Apparently, and this asshole half the time still believes Trump is actually president and signing all these bills. So I don't know.
But you know what? These great things that's going on now is people are seeing through the evil. People are just pouring over here. They're pouring, going, well, their eyes are getting opened up. God has to put, a guy said, well, you prayed. Some guy put on my Facebook this morning, oh, you prayed for this election, the last election. It didn't come true. Where's your God on that? Well, if God's letting all this happen to get more people to open their eyes, I think it's a good thing when you have more and more people coming to the Lord. So when they get to eternity, this is about eternity. It's not, the time we're spending here. We're part of a whole bigger purpose.
Oh, this asshole has led tons of people to think that there's a there, that because he's a millionaire, and because he's got a functioning business, that he might know something. In a mini Trump way, this dumbass has convinced a bunch of people who, they already were on board. Like I said, he's not winning over any hearts and minds that aren't already Trumpers. But he gave these people false hope for months and months and months, talking out of his ass, lying constantly, misinterpreting, bullshit, like literally offering to pay for evidence and not recognizing that grifters just like Steve Bannon and others would show up with evidence that this dude's going to pay for anything and he'll buy it. He's not even vetting the shit. He doesn't even really care if it's true. If you tell him it's true and you give him, and he'll fucking pay you for it. And he'll sell it to these dickheads. And, they've been ruining their relationships and repeating his fucking talking points for months and months. Yeah, he's a false prophet of election fraud. Like deluding people as a mission in fucking life. And then he's like, this is about eternity. All he does is lie, is take the Lord's name in vain. That's what the dude does. He claims to be a man of God while acting in a way that is wholly contradictory to anyone who has any respect for the teachings of Jesus, just generally. Yeah, he's bearing false witness at every turn. And talking a bunch of other folks into thinking that this is some sort of holy war. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, hijacking true religious belief and genuine political ideals, I mean, there's a lot of money in it. Not a lot, but enough. And especially as people get, more adrift from reality and more angry, blaming the world for their problems instead of their own behaviors, they're going to cling to people like Steve Bannon and Mike Pillow. It's gross. And the other thing is, we've watched Steve Bannon laugh at this asshole on his own show when he's selling this same stuff. Because he knows it's fake. He knows it's not going to land. But they keep giving him the Mike Pillow money, so he keeps having him on regular.
That God's using us, all these people out there as tools to get the other people, to be in this greatest revival ever. Why did you say this is the greatest time to be alive? Before I cut you off a few minutes.
Yeah, because Steve can't possibly believe that that's true. It had to have been a day when Trump was still president.
This is a great time to be alive.
It's the greatest time ever, everybody. I mean, this is historical, where all this stuff is being revealed. We have all the pieces to this massive puzzle to put it all in the right places to get to a better place.
I kind of agree with him that that this is a great time to be alive. The greatest, for me, I'm alive. Everybody thinks the greatest time to be alive is when they are actually alive. We'd all hate to think that the greatest time to be alive happened well before I was born and will happen well after my children's children's children pass away. That's a little silly. But in the meantime,
for everybody, for not just here, but the world. And think if we didn't have all those pieces, where we'd be. This is just, to me, it's the greatest time because we are in the greatest revival ever. And getting people, we are once again, it's going to be a great uniting. Once again, we'll be one nation under God. It's a uniting of the people. Evil reared its head. I mean,
what's weird? Mike Lindell sounds like somebody who is religious and hated Donald Trump. Like 4 years of Donald Trump, it was horrible. Now we've got a guy in office who at least goes to church for real. A humble man who believes in his faith, who, is in the White House now. I mean, doesn't it sound like that? Like evil reared its ugly head and now it's way better. It sounds like he got through the Trump years in the same way the rest of us did.
When you go back to in my home state of Minnesota, when a year and a half ago, when
you're from Minnesota, I wouldn't be able to tell.
Burning up the city and places where I grew up and burning it down, evil just rising up, whether it's politicians making bad decisions or people just evil raising its head, and that's what.
Yeah, evil was apparently raising its ugly head. It was. I don't know if you noticed that, but evil was raising its ugly head in all of its ugly head ways. It was just, when stuff happens, politicians being corrupt / evil raising its ugly head.
We are part of it. All of us out there. Everybody's got a calling, and this calling.
In the raising of evil's head. I'm fucking around. None of this makes any sense. Like it's a bunch of pseudo-religious word salad. This is an affront to people of faith and people of no faith. This is silly. This is a conflation of two different environments to sell a narrative. Find people who have faith in God or in a religion of a specific form and have lost faith in their own lives. They'll say they've lost faith in the government or lost faith in faith in the country, but they've really lost faith in themselves. Oh, and by the way, apparently
there's no better time to
hold on. Apparently, we do have some trolls in today, and I want to appreciate you guys. Take a moment and thank you for being here. This is not like your normal show. We don't mind you being here. We know you got very few places left to go, and every time you type something, it improves our reach in the algorithm. And yeah, and the other thing is that if you're coming here like shaking a fist about communism, wrong show.
Right now than any other time.
Or actually, stick around because I have a Kyle Kalinske clip I was going to talk about, which I mean maybe you'll be happy. Who knows? Boy, you're gonna have a fucking about face if I end up having time to do that clip.
And to bring our country to the great place it's going to get to. Steve, right now, my Lindell Recovery Network, if anybody out there right now can't go out and evangelize to somebody that's got problems or in addiction or whatever, this is the perfect time to do it because they're looking for hope.
Mike, CNBC is reporting that you spent $25 million on trying to prove different aspects of voter fraud. If that's the case, because right now you're not the Supreme Court, you haven't really overturned any states, although in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania.
See, this is the part. Steve Bannon doesn't believe any of this shit is actually going to work. Don't think for a second he's buying any of this. But Mike Lindell's got cash. He's ready to spread it around, and he's on all the time. But he's also got his own sort of standard to hold in the Republican GOP vlogosphere.
In Georgia and Arizona, they're making progress at the state legislature through the courts. Would that money have not been better spent to put it in back of religious organizations to evangelize the word of Christ, or into your recovery network to help addicts, or just in grassroots organizations to help them grow? Do you think the $25 million, as reported by CNBC, has been a total waste of your money? You could have gone out into your front yard and just burned it up, and it been just as effective, sir?
Sir? Or you could have given it to me, right?
It's the best spent money I've ever spent. And they also asked me, well, what are you going to do if you run out of money? I'd say borrow more. Spend every dime until this week.
Because you're reacting to this like a frigging addict. That's why. You do realize if you do realize this is insane. Basically, you're saying my employees, everybody that works for me, fuck them. This is I'm all in on this thing that continues to fail, that goes nowhere. I mean, and I'm talking to you folks, and many people in the chat room know this. As someone who has watched all of his fucking movies all the way through. We did them on camera. I didn't do some little 3-minute reaction video where I picked a couple of fucking sentences out like a bunch of these folks on YouTube or Twitch will do. I didn't take a 8-minute clip of it. I teabagged the whole fucking thing. A couple of them took like 6 hours because there were so many lies and so much bullshit. Every fucking 2 sentences we had to stop and go, all right, here we go. And go through the whole details. Right? I didn't short slice this dumbass. I confronted everything he said. I've gone through all this shit so many times. I could debate him live without notes on any of this stuff. Any of the states. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, fucking Florida and Texas. Do we want to get started on the fact that the Q-Snatch dude told him that the, where is it?
Q-Snatch.
That the worst voting systems in the country were in Texas, and that Oh, pshaw. The Dominion, that's nothing. ES&S is a nightmare. You know, the ones that Republicans insist on having.
Snatch.
Yeah, remember that bullshit? That's a clip. That's the dude from the first Mike Lindell special. Basically destroying Mike Lindell's entire argument that Dominion gave the election to Biden. 56% of the places where they used Dominion machines, Trump won. They're not even used in most of the places. His insistence on saying they are where they aren't was part of the reason why he's so fucked legally in the stupid lawsuit. Meanwhile, this asshole comes in and goes, Dominion. You can see his face flop, like in the actual movie. We're watching this dickhead, and the guy's going, he's like, yeah, these Dominion machines have got to go. And he's like, Dominion? Nobody fucking gives a shit about Dominion. The machines we use in Texas, they're sending votes to Spain from Texas, which of course Trump won, even though it looked like he was going to lose. He won by a lot. And that's the worst place for election fraud, according to Mike Lindell's own fucking movie.
Q snatch.
For God's sake. Oh.
Steve, if we don't correct 2020, if we don't correct this, that election and what went wrong.
Correct yourself, Mike.
For 2022, it's over. All that stuff.
Mike, buddy, booby. It's over. It was over before it started. It was a fever dream. It was always a mirage. You are trying to guzzle sand.
Wouldn't matter anyway. The company be gone, the recovery network, everything. That's why I encourage everybody out there.
And based on fucking what? And again, this is the fucking, it's communism. They're taking us, Joe Biden is taking us to socialism and communism. None of this shit is communist or socialist. None of it. The government taking tax dollars because elected representatives that are voted in by the people decide, because of what their constituents want, to put that money towards one direction, and that money going out and being spent by either constituents or, you know, infrastructure companies or fucking defense contractors, whatever you use it for, is not socialism. It's taxation with representation. You don't like how your taxes are being spent? Elect new representation. That's how it works. If it was socialism, you know, we would build hospitals and everybody would be forced to go to the government hospitals. We would take over factories. We're not. We give fucking everything in this. The rescue package, the infrastructure package, even the bailout of fucking 2009. We loaned money to companies backed by the government or directly, and they paid it back. The Fed made money on 2009. It's not socialism, dipshits. Public school isn't socialism. The federal government doesn't create any of this shit. Districts build their own schools. It's one of the reasons why we have that bifurcation. It's not communism or socialism. Communism is further than socialism. Not only do you make all the shit, but you distribute all the shit equally. That's not even the goal. It's such a fucking cartoon. But I guess that's what they have to sell, because Trump took money from tariffs and gave it straight to farmers. And wanted to continue doing it throughout and just keep the tariffs on, essentially, so he could pay the farmers, so he could maybe buy some votes in red states and just leave it there on hold, not just do it during the time the tariffs were happening, or until it righted itself, or until they found, God forbid, other places to sell their food, like the fact that there's 8 billion people on the earth, you can't send corn and soybeans and pork and shit someplace else.
Churches need to get involved. They need to start, you know, it's like, when you're going to save your courage and for a rainy day, well, it's pouring outside.
Save your courage for a rainy day. It's pouring outside. Oh, God.
Right now is there is no other time in history where you need to get out and speak out and not have fear. Because if this all goes away, if I went to speak,
Mike, I hear you. I'm on TV. I'm on some people's TVs. I'm live streaming every day now, except Sundays. I take that day off. It's weird, I know. 3 days a week, I'm on twice a day. I'm not afraid to say what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, this is at my actual face, my actual voice, and my actual name. And I'll have, there'll be tons of, on Twitter and other places, trolls with, fake names and these contrived, handles will come at me like they have some sort of pride in what they're saying or some sort of courage in voicing what they're talking about while they won't use their own face and their own name. You could argue I'm putting my career on the line by saying what I'm saying, right? If the idea is if the Jan Sixers took over, you don't think I'd be first up against the wall if they had their druthers in that way? I mean, they couldn't wait apparently to kill their fellow Americans. Here I am as me. So yes, be bold.
Money and just been like, oh, you know what? This stuff that was brought to me, I'm just going to sit on it. I'm going to pray.
Here, I'll tell you what, Mike, don't sit on it. No one's asking you to sit on it. Go read it before you start telling people what you just got. Because that's his biggest problem. He gets what he thinks is evidence, and he immediately brings, look what I got. Look, they told me this is what it is. And then he brings in his cyber experts, and they're like, yeah, that's not what it actually is. But I was told it was, so it must be. So now you're lying to me. You're right. That's true, Zap. All right. That's not fair. I'll show you my real face. Hi, how y'all doing? This is what I really look like without makeup. Oh, buddy. Hey, that's Mike Pillow. I like him. He's a smart fella. I'm sorry. What was he talking about before I showed up?
It's a great thing when you're praying.
It is.
But also, if you're called to act on that and to God working through you, you need to get out and do it. And
that's right. What you need to do is the first sign at all that you hear a voice in your head, do whatever it says. Don't meditate on it. Don't pray. Don't consider, hey, maybe this is just my own dumbass idea. You just, as soon as you hear, do it. Get on your mountain bike, get on the top of the barn, yell to your friends, hey, watch this, and just know the Lord's going to catch you. That's how it works. That's how you do it, man. There ain't no problems there. Just trust in the Lord and throw yourself off the top of the barn. That's what I do. I still got back problems from it, but you understand what I'm saying.
Every dime of that, every single dime I've spent, and I'm still burning through millions of dollars.
Oh, well, I it's like the good old days, Mike. Know what I'm saying?
It doesn't matter.
This is like the third time in his life he's burnt through millions.
But I have a big platform God's given me, and I'm speaking out, and we're going to keep speaking out. And
hey, man, there is no bigger platform than having to build your own platform. You know what I mean? The Lord has given you a platform. Well, Brandon House did, that dude who runs Lindell TV. And you gave him money so that he and the Lord could build you a platform. Just as a record.
If everybody knew, if I had 10 hours here to tell everybody all the great things.
Oh, no, hey, man, keep going. Steve, don't interrupt him. Just let him go.
Going on out there, and that this is manifested too for everybody doing their part.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We're in the best place, Steve, we've been in since.
Yeah. We don't need no Supreme Court. We don't need none of the evidence to actually work out. We didn't need the whole Cyber Ninjas Arizona thing to work out. This is the best, but we got them right where we want them, man. We're just, it's the rope-a-dope. It's like a dumber version of the rope-a-dope. That's what we're doing. It's like the dopey-dope. Yeah, that's what we're doing. What you do is you play dumb for so long, you start to believe it.
November 3rd, by far, we're in a great place today. Every day is better and better and better.
I agree. That's true. That's true. The pills are working.
Look at the other day when Georgia, Brad Rassenberger of all people, now he's going to finally say, "Wow, look at we have fraud here in Georgia. What a concept!" These things are coming to light. You just don't hear about them, everybody. That's why.
Yeah, it happens. I just don't hear about it. And I don't want people to think for a split second that just because something that you never see something and you never hear something and you never read something and you never smell or rub on something that it ain't real.
War room is so important. Frank speech is so important.
They're very important. They're so good. This is high quality.
Anybody out there that's speaking out, if you're out there and you're on your podcast and you're on Facebook or Twitter or Get or whatever, you guys just keep speaking it out.
Okay.
Oh, but don't worry, I'm on here, man. I got you covered.
Those platforms, do you lose them?
We've got a minute and a half in this segment. I just want to go back. Why, in a minute and a half, 90 seconds, why is it so important that you put all your cash and all your work?
Wait, which is it? Is it a minute and a half or 90 seconds? He's a busy man. He's got places to go. Flip a fucking coin.
To finding out about 3 November. Why is 3 November and getting to the bottom of that so important, Mike Lindell?
By the way, just don't get confused. You say 2020 because we're getting last November 3rd. It was just a Tuesday or some shit. It's very specific. November 3rd. I think it was a Wednesday this year. Nobody gives a shit about 2021, so, and even less so about next one. Maybe they're gonna swap a year, some shit.
Because let me tell you something, everybody.
Tell them.
The world we're living in with computers and machines. When you get attacked, when you get hacked, and it just becomes, it's all about money. If your credit cards get hacked, or your computer, or your phone, or whatever it is, and it gets hacked, it just...
if somebody... I understand that there are groups of Macedonian hackers that are getting a hold of people's AirPods and pumping bullshit into their heads. It's like phenobarbital meets LSD and crack.
Replace it all with money. But when you hack and steal an election, it's over. You lose all your freedoms. You lose all your Constitution, your First Amendment right to free speech. That's been the first thing to go, everybody. And I will tell you this. I'll tell you a little tidbit. I was over in Utah talking to them the other day. And guess what? In Utah...
You wait a minute. You talked to Utah? Well, the next time you tell Utah I said hi.
They did a pilot program where you would email in your vote or text message in your vote. This is going on. All you got to do is look over in Australia and see.
We're all going to be voting in the Metaverse. That's what's going to happen. Hold on. Let's see. I'm sure there's some sort of thing here. Give me a second. Let's see. There's got to be something in here. Hold on. There's the thing. I'm looking. Hold on. Did this work? Nope. No, is that working? Hold on. There it is. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm in the voting booth now. Hold on. This has got to be a better version of this one. Does this look even better? Yeah, there we go. So, Mike, I'm in the voting booth and I'm ready to cast my vote. Now, I'm looking at the two candidates. You guys can't see what I'm seeing. Of course, I'm in the Metaverse. Now, on the left is Joe Biden. And wow, the version they're showing him, he's muscular. He's got kind of a Lego head, big muscles. He's got dragon wings. And he's wearing swim fins, and every time he walks, a meme of Don Jr. farts out of his butt. That's amazing. And on my right is Donald Trump. It's a gelatinous blob of some sort. And then there's two buttons They're right here in front of me, and I'm just going to vote. I don't know. Let's see if I. Okay, there. I voted for Joe Biden. Is that one? Yeah. And he's getting bigger. Oh, that's amazing. Trump has turned into pudding, and he's being. Oh, that's interesting. That's incredible. Holy smoke! Wait, hold on. What happens? Hold on. Back up. Wait 1 second. Reset the game. It's not official. This is just a beta test, so it doesn't actually do the election. What happens if I push the Trump button? Oh, weird. I'm in a doctor's office, and I'm on. They're ventilating me. That's fascinating. Wow, it feels so real. This is incredible. The universe, it's coming for us. There's no way we're going to escape this. Anyways, so tell me how that we're going to vote in the future.
It's manifested to the horrific things. If your election's stole, this isn't about a Democrat or Republican thing anymore, everybody. This is about what's going on. If we have machines or computers or...
Yes, this is about what's going on. And machines are bad. I hear you.
...thing done with the 2022 election, it's over. It's over.
It's over. That's right. Yes. If we count our ballots in a country in 2021 with anything but paper and computers, and we verify them with paper, it's over. We're done. Hold on. I got to take these things off. This is too much for me. Hold on. Back to... There we go. I couldn't see for a second. I don't know what's going on. We were promised smell-o-vision. If we're able to vote like we have been for years, it's over. By the way, it's not over. And do you think any Republicans who win in the next election, and some of them will, do you think any of them are going to claim that their election was stolen from them? And Mike Lindell's going to say that they were let win just to, let rhinos in, or even if it's MTG. If she wins her reelection in Georgia, that's just, they're going to let that through. They're in total control, and your freedoms are over. But if she wins, it's totally legit.
That's it.
Mike Lindell, hang with us for a couple of minutes. We're going to take a short
commercial break. You mean selling my pillows? That's why you let him come on, Steve, even though you mock him during the breaks? Such good Christian behavior from these lovely people. Speaking of lunatics who are selling a narrative and ice skating uphill, and at this point, not even convincing the dude who just had to take a loan out on a house he doesn't even own that belongs to a charity that he started, a nonprofit called the Rule of Law, to fight the rule of law. It's the Freedom Caucasians.
We've got two. We started with a firebrand, Rabbi Sparrow. Let's start with how this thing is being portrayed today by the official consensus.
Yes, this is the January 6th, their little powwow. She's very upset. Whoops, hold on. Done, quit. She's very upset. He knows this is sales. This is genuine emotion. This may end with both of them, her putting both of them in a headlock. We don't know.
I mean, the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden speeches.
By the way, this is Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I live stream every day, and when I encounter clips like this, posted by Steve Bannon, posted by Mike Pillow, the full thing, I go through the whole clip. I don't just take a piece out of it. I don't decontextualize stuff and dunk on people. I use what they post. Yeah, that's right. I don't edit it later, and I do it live on the fly. Let's do it.
Blunt. They are illegitimate. Trump
Thanks,
won.
Catherine.
We're not going to stop 1 second, okay, in every state that we're going to decertify this election. That's what everybody understand. And it's outrageous, outrageous, outrageous. The honored dead of Pearl Harbor, the honored dead of 9/11, that they would try to connect it to that. This shows you how weak that. This is a guy that's down by 5 points.
They attacked the Capitol. That's why they associate it with 9/11. It was a political attack on the country. Pearl Harbor was a political attack on the country. 9/11 was a political attack on the country. Attacking the Capitol, beating police officers because they were in the way of you hanging the vice president because he's not going to decertify the election, hand it back to the states so that they can nullify their own voters' choices, install people, and then force a vote in the House. So because there are more states represented by congressional Republicans than there are congressional Republicans representing human beings in those states, basically Senatizing the House. That's why the comparison. It's a simple comparison. Just because it sucked, just because it was completely, ultimately inconsequential, just because it was a giant, violent circle jerk amounting to nothing, because it was sound and fury resulting in, a group diarrhea from a bunch of deluded maniacs, doesn't mean it started out as terrorism, and it wasn't a desire to make it a terrorist insurrection.
To Trump right now, across real clear politics, polling about right now about approval and about people that think he's illegitimate, 40% of the American people. In the poll, Axios poll, 40% of the American people. But if you look at independents, it's getting over 50%. No, he's illegitimate and this regime's illegitimate. I'll turn it over. Let's start with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we'll go to Matt Gaetz.
I'd like to first talk about what President Biden said when he talked about the darkest days leading to light and hope. I was so appalled at that because I truly feel like the darkest days in America have been over this past year and a half. It's been horrific.
Yeah, the darkest days. I mean, the rescue package, the infrastructure bill, the increases in jobs, the 1 million added jobs, the fastest recovery in American history, that getting people vaccinated to such an extent that even though cases are up, deaths and hospital rates are down, how are we supposed to cull the herd of our society if Biden's actually successful in getting people vaccinated? What the world? How is it? It's the darkest days. We're out of Afghanistan. The darkest, the light, the hope was truly in us staying in Afghanistan for fucking ever.
Right now in America, darkest days, you want to talk about what that means? That means that
Yes.
our jobs have been sold out to foreign countries. Our borders are...
Hold on. Our jobs were sold out to foreign countries. There has never been a faster stampede of factory growth, I mean, since post-World War II than now. We go over this all the fucking time on this show. And I know that there's tons of folks on here, if I may, that are... that, let's see. Let's just go with chip factories in Arizona. That's a good one. I mean, we did battery factories in Tennessee and that stuff. Not that these folks actually give a shit about genuine Americans and genuine American jobs. Let's see. Here you go. Here you go. This was just on my birthday. Intel breaks ground on a $20 billion Arizona chip plant in battle with TSMC. TSMC is the Taiwan superconductor manufacturing company. U.S. fabs will add capacity and bid to lure customers from Taiwanese rival, who is also building a chip-making plant in Arizona. Is this not... Sorry, kids. Is this from... Did we just start using fucking chips in everything? In the last 8 months? In the last 10 months? Did computers just become a thing this year? Is it where everybody's investing? Oh man, just around the corner there'll be a day when we finally start using these things. Trust me, it's worth it. They're adding 3 chip manufacturing plants in Arizona alone. Do you think Marge knows about that? You think Marge gives a shit? You think Marge celebrates those very things? How about this? This is going to bum out Marge. If she knows about it, which I don't think she does. Electric car company opening up a $5 billion manufacturing plant in Georgia. No, you don't think? You think Marge, that job? Those are the jobs that are getting outsourced to the rest of the world. How about 1 second? Where is? You mean, here you go. This picture I could find. Q-Cell solar panel covers the parking lot of the factory where 700 employees and visitors work. This facility is located in Dalton, a city in northwest Georgia, about 75 miles from Atlanta. This is up near where she is. Reminder, 700 people work there, make their livings there. Their families live off the money they make there. That's not outsourced. These aren't solar panels made in China that are cheap and blah, 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 that damage and danger and blah, blah, blah. Right? Okay, but our jobs are going to China. Shit, like talking points from 2007. Next.
Invaded. Families are being ripped and torn apart because of...
Hold on. The border is being invaded. That was her other one. Families are being ripped and torn apart because what?
Appalling attack on our culture and our religious values that build our traditional family values. You know what darkest days are?
Like what? Name drop one of those values. Charity, goodness, kindness, love, respect, love thy neighbor. Any of that stuff come up? Sharing is caring, stranger danger, something. Just flip through the children's book that is your brain.
Darkest days are when you discriminate against Americans who choose to make decisions based on their own health and how they feel what should be done with their bodies in behalf of their children. But they're being fired from their jobs. There's ridiculous COVID passports and mandates being put in place, making it impossible.
That first of all, the COVID passports that are being used in cities are the purview of mayors because the federal government does not have a tyrannical control over the country. It's exactly the opposite of their bullshit talking point. When de Blasio institutes a rule like that, it is not coming from the federal level or the direction of the Biden administration at all. And there is no vaccine mandate for these businesses. They have a testing mandate. You can either get vaccinated or you can get tested once a week. And you can keep at this testing for, 6 months until the wave passes and they go, it's no longer necessary. We're now in the endemic phase or whatever comes from it. People got to be trapped in a fucking building with you. They know that you're not going to breathe an infectious disease on them. Especially if we don't know if there's going to be a variant that comes out that will be worse all of a sudden, right about the time you're like, fuck it. I mean, these are the folks who believe that this was a bioweapon, that China sent a bioweapon to kill us all, to wipe out a big chunk of the world or something. That's why China has a zero policy about it, because they view it as a much bigger danger, right? That's the theory from these folks. So let's say you're right. Let's play their game and say China sent a bioweapon. Do you send the worst version of the bioweapon right away when you're doing it this way? Or do you send a lighter version of it and then you wait until people are like, I don't think it's anything. It's just nothing or whatever. And then you send the worst version, and that's when everybody's over wearing masks and all that kind of stuff. And then it just kills everybody hand over fist, or they think they're through it. So they relax and they're psychologically opposed to any of the lockdown procedures that saved their lives in the first place. And the second wave wipes them out. Any military strategists out there want to think about that for a fucking second? That these guys might be the ones that go, it's over. Put down your guns, guys. It's time to party. I don't know. I think I hear marching coming over the hill. No. You're being paranoid.
People to function in life. Those are darkest days. Darkest days are when truth is cast out and people are kicked off of social media platforms, and when a private...
Yes, the darkest days. Forget what your grandparents went through in the Battle of the Bulge. Forget what the Dust Bowl. Forget, us kids who grew up during the Cold War hiding under our desks because a nuke might be landing. Yeah. No. What's the darkest days are when she gets kicked off of one of dozens of social media sites.
Corporation declares itself bigger than the government of the country that it exists in, and gave it freedom to be able to create such a platform. Those are darkest days. These are
Hold on, wait. The freedom to kick you off? This declares it's bigger than the government? Whoa. Okay, first of all, she still got her government Twitter handle. She has 2 accounts. She only lost 1. She still has her, Rep Margarine, whatever the fuck that is, 1. She lost her personal account for violations on her personal account. So even in her stupid analogy, the government isn't doing that. Secondly, what kind of conservatism is this? Look, we've got a couple of folks, clamoring about communism and hippie stuff because of my hair in the chat room. Explain your fucking self. Explain how what she's asking for, which is for the government to be able to force private companies to give accounts and carry the messages of government employees, elected people, and I guess bureaucrats as well. The government is able to force a company against its will to carry the words and messages of a government entity. Where the slippery slope to fucking communism comes that direction. What fucking hell? Does she not even grasp what she's asking for? She is asking for the federal government, not like local, okay, if you want to use Twitter in the city limits, it's got to do certain stuff. She's talking about the federal government being able to force companies to give elected officials and government entities accounts and forcibly carry a government message. That's the conservative point of view right now. That's what you guys are fighting for. That's what Republicans and the MAGA movement is fighting for. The federal government to be able to force private companies to violate their own free speech rules. Because the government must carry these accounts. They must carry an account for the president. They must carry an account for elected representatives. And if they don't, they can be shut down or they're un-American. What the hell is this? How the fuck is that not? Yeah, we're the communists.
Darkest days right now, and the only way to lead our country into light and hope is to embrace God, who created everything that we know, but then to go further than that, to defeat this fascism that exists in control and power in our country. Amen. Defeat communism and stop.
What was he amening about? You can tell when some of these assholes get really desperate. It's like they start peaking the pious meter. They start referencing, ever since Steve Bannon has gotten in deeper and deeper shit, he starts, falling back into the religious corner and using little religious jargon, because that's what amen and his references to God are about. They're not about a genuine belief in that. They are jargon meant to trigger the cerebral cortex of the truly devout and make them believe he's on their side. I'm with you. Get him. That's what that is.
This unbelievable attack on our freedoms, on our Constitution, and that.
What attack? It's an attack on your freedoms and your Constitution to not be allowed to have a Twitter account because you violated their terms of service?
We're doing today, Steve.
Matt Gaetz.
When you watch Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, when you watch legacy media, there's a part of you that just thinks how pathetic they are. How
is it really? Because I that's not what I'm supposed to think here. Like, for example, you guys aren't taking calls or referencing video. Like, I have earbuds in so that I can hear the audio and it doesn't feed back into the microphone I'm using. So that's why I have headphones in on this thing. I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing. Are you DJing a birthday party? What do you think? You're calling a football game? Notice how the legacy media has lavalier microphones and don't pretend that they're London, line 2. What are you fucking Don Imus? Legacy media?
foolish this all is, as the American people are actually going through deprivations of liberty, economic struggles, humiliation abroad, that they...
Sorry, we're losing our liberties. He's again referencing his their lack of Twitter accounts in some cases because they, because of their lack of vocabulary. Do you know how many people, like, all these conservatives are being kicked off? Like, meanwhile, none of these fucking bigger conservative channels get kicked off. Daily Wire's still on. Fucking Ben Shapiro and his whole crowd, or all of his followers, are still on. They don't get cut off until they either call for violence or directly violate the terms of service by going, you should, maybe if you put your mouth right up to a horse's ass and take a big puff off that'll cure it. I don't even know what this vaccine shit's about. Like, their inability to even articulate their ideas without certain buzzwords that will violate the terms of service is about their ignorance, not the ideas themselves. And the vast majority of conservatives have no fucking problem being on any of these sites. Talking about actual, tax policy, the point of government. These guys get kicked off, though, not because of what they're saying, but largely how they're saying it. Because they're fucking dumb. Because she's got Tom Leykis, right? Which one's Tom Leykis? This is a good freeze frame, by the way. Yeah. The derp is strong with this one.
January 6th so bad that they...
Oh, yeah. That was a phlegm gurgle right there. Somebody fighting the gunk too?
How foolish this all is, as the American people are actually going through deprivations of liberty, economic struggles, humiliation abroad, that they need January 6th so bad.
Oh, that was a mucus crawl. Fucking hell. Yep, he's got the gunk. And look at her. She's like, motherfucker, I am not vaccinated. Son of a bitch. Do not cough that gooey shit on me. Oh my God. Why is nobody? Help me, Lord Jesus. Pray this disgusting phlegm away from me. He's gonna loogie right in my lap again.
They have to obsess about it. But then your blood just boils when they draw the comparisons to 9/11, to Pearl.
They just got. Oh wow, he's got the fucking full DeSantis. He's got the chest shiver and everything. He's fighting a cough. Listen to that.
Humiliation abroad, that they need January 6th so bad that they have to obsess about it. But then your blood just boils when they draw the comparisons to 9/11. To
the comparisons. Yeah, this is the same shit that DeSantis had. She's like, did y'all hear that too? Has he got a bad case of the phlegmy Katharine Hepburns?
You represent Pensacola.
We have a thing in my family where my kid, when he's laying on the floor, I'll go over and I'll push slightly on his chest, like shake his chest, like do like this, and then I'll feed him lines from On Golden Pond. I love you, you old poop. like that. He just thinks it's so funny. And he's never seen the movie. But I just feed him Katharine Hepburn lines and shake him. And the boy, he's talk like this. And he thinks it's so funny. And he's like, give me more lines. She's like, can I switch seats with you before this fucker gobs all over my lap?
One of the greatest naval stations and the place that trains every Navy pilot. And Pearl Harbor was about getting to the aircraft carriers, but they weren't there to the battleships. Representing...
Pearl Harbor was important. The nation's capital, not so much. The fuck kind of argument is that?
District that trains naval aviators. What is that? What is that? When he goes back and relates what happened on 6 January to Pearl Harbor and the honored dead on the Arizona?
It's just... What do you mean the honored dead on the Arizona? Yes, they were attacks on our system of government. Sorry, do you think the Japanese were just there because they wanted a body count? Or because they wanted to stop the United States from existing?
Especially searing to think how much damage the Biden-Harris regime has done to our military.
Regime. How much damage they've done. Yeah, with their re-upping of the $768 billion budget for the year. By the way, Obama signed the VA Choice Act of 2014, the thing that Trump continues to claim credit for. Obama signed that. That was law before Trump took office for 2 years. Not like days before. Not like, oh, they passed it and he got to sign it. No.
For them to have the nerve to invoke the military dead on a day like this shows...
The fuck? They're not... Dude, people attacked our Capitol. I mean, they work in the building and they have no respect for it.
How totally just, I think, devoid they are from the true American patriotic experience. And I think on this day in particular...
What's that? And by the way, Matt, how much is the true American patriotic experience? Is it extra, or is it part of the freedom tour you guys are doing together? Is it kind of like the meet and grope, and then there's the next level?
It has to draw us into sharper focus about what we do about it. This has to be a platform for action. And I am so grateful to be sitting here with an inspirational Congresswoman, Mark.
That's right. I'm so glad to be here, not just talking, taking action by talking. This is a time for more than just talk and wearing headphones and sitting in front of a microphone in front of a big, dumb, overly macho bullshit insignia. You know what I mean? Those days are done.
Taylor Greene,
Amen.
We're here. We're in Washington. Democrats wanted to seize this day. They want to own this day.
You guys, we wanted to seize it. Motherfucker, you assholes tried to seize the actual Capitol.
They want to use it as a political...
They're trying to seize it by not seizing it. See, that's the 5D chess that Democrats play. See, they dressed up. They're in Antifa and BLM dressed up as maggots and voted for Trump twice and gained a bunch of weight and got diabetes and bought camo and stocked ammo and built fucking pipe bombs and all this stuff in a clever attempt to entice us into attacking the Capitol, which we didn't want to do. But while you're since somebody's doing it, we might as well join the fuck in, right? And then they coaxed us into actually seizing this day, and now they're trying to seize it by not seizing it. See, they're not seizing it. And now we've got to not seize it back.
Joel, not just against Republicans in Congress, but against a patriotic, pro-America, God-fearing America First movement all over this great land. And that's what we're not going to.
And by the way, lovely phrases all stitched together in kind of a Franken pile of bullshit, saying absolutely nothing.
Out to have happen. Three things always come out if you give it time: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And we're here to get to the truth behind January 6th, the federal government's own involvement with.
You're scaring Steve now. Steve Bannon is currently involved in a legal battle taking loans out on places, on property he does not own, to pay legal bills to make sure that the truth doesn't come out. You do realize you're talking to a man right now that is avoiding testifying. Right? No? That does... know your audience, Matt.
And the evidence continues to come out. And that's what they're really afraid of. They're afraid that all that they're doing to turn the power of this regime against our fellow Americans is being exposed. And there's a lot.
Yeah, the regime. It's a regime. It's totally a regime. This isn't a Russian fucking talking point calling the U.S. government a fucking regime. Good Lord.
That coming today.
We got about a minute before we go to break. Talk. So what else are you guys doing today? You two are here. I don't know. Are there any other?
Yeah, there's action. What other actions are you taking today? What's your day of action like? Where are you going on this day of action?
Republicans in town, or where is everybody?
The traditional thinking among Republicans is hide under your bed for the day and hope that the day passes without us being too ashamed.
Oh, really? That's what we do every year on January 6th, since this is the first fucking January 6th since the actual January 6th? Have you guys just been hiding under your bed every fucking day?
Ourselves. We're ashamed of nothing.
Seize the day.
Yes. Dude, that was the fucking problem in the first place. No, don't seize the day. You tried to seize the day. It was a day of seizing, stupid.
The work that we did on January 6th to make legitimate arguments about election integrity. So we're going to make...
Yeah, actions. What actions are we taking? We're going to make legitimate arguments on the day of our actions, like we're doing right now. It's action, not words. And that my action is words.
Arguments today in a press conference at 2:15. And we're actually...
Wait a minute. A press conference? I didn't realize they were really getting a shovel and going to work. Really? You're not gonna get together with your staff and craft a bill or present a bill today that you've been working on for months? You're gonna do a press conference? They did a press conference. We didn't cover it, but I guess we could, but yawn.
Walk the grounds that patriotic Americans walked from the White House to the Capitol who had no intention
of attacking it, but then thought, hey, fuck it, we're here. Might as well hang Mike Pence. You got some wood? Yes, I have exactly the amount of wood to build a gallows. What luck? How do we build one? Fuck it, we don't need a plan. I could just Google it. That's a great idea. It's so weird that you brought exactly the right gallows recipe. Yeah, no. Anyway, no plan whatsoever. We didn't intend to run up there. Antifa talked us into it.
Breaking the law or doing violence, and many of them were trapped, and the people involved in trapping them...
Yes, it was entrapment, kind of like what Joel Greenberg's going through.
Been held to account, and that's what we're here to bring to the forefront.
At 2:15.
Hold on, did somebody jump in? What happened?
That patriotic Americans walked from the White House to the Capitol who had no intent of breaking the law or doing violence, and many of them were trapped, and the people involved in trapping them have not been held to account, and that's what we're here to bring to the forefront.
At 2:15, where's the press conference?
We have a very important press conference. That's going to be inside what...
Yeah, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so we're in a time when people are all talk, we're gonna do a press conference. We're doing a press conference.
Is that in?
We're going to be in the Cannon building, and we're going to be broadcasting on Right Side Broadcasting.
Everyone needs to tune in. We'll be.
Oh my God, not Right Side. You can't tell Real America's Voice. You're going to be on RSBN. That literally is the same slice of pie they're fighting for.
Walking the grounds later on this morning and around noon.
Walk the grounds, and then a press conference at 2:15.
Right.
Are you you're gonna walk the grounds? Really? I'm sorry. Are you on patrol duty now? Are they gonna give you one of those sticks with a nail on the end of it so you can pick up garbage? Walk the fucking grounds. Still the Capitol. I guess our attempted coup was a complete shitstorm.
Here's the important thing today. This is why I'm so grateful for my friend Matt Gaetz. We're here in Washington because we aren't afraid to say we support President Trump. This is what happened on January 6th. We want to ask the real question. The January 6th committee is.
You're in D.C. because you're elected. Not fucking tourists who decide to come in on this day, dum-dum. You work there. We're in Washington, D.C., largely because it's an easier commute.
Too weak and cowardice to ask, and it goes against their whole lie anyways.
Yeah, they're too weak and cowardice to ask. You mean cowardly? All right.
Tucker Carlson went even harder than MTG. He says Ted Cruz was using left-wing talking points right there. Is anybody? You're a lawyer, and you're a pretty good lawyer, pretty good trial lawyer.
Again, is he just fucking with you now? Hold on. He's a trial lawyer, and he's a pretty good trial lawyer. Is he, Steve? Steve, is he a pretty good trial? He's a lawyer, and he's a pretty good trial lawyer. Is he good? He's pretty great at his job, is he? He's just great at it. He's just so good. No? Are you just getting back at him for him bringing up RSBN? This just fucking happened in October. This isn't some from 2 years ago, asshole. This is current. This is the current state. Dum-dum. Look at the look on his face. You fucker. You fucker. You're a pretty good trial lawyer. You're great. You've never had a trial. You've never actually tried a case.
Has anybody been charged with insurrection? Has anybody been charged with sedition? Has anybody been charged with anything except trying to stop a public hearing or a government official, a government proceeding?
No, it sort of looked like that was vote your conscience.
Has anybody been charged with any? Let's see. Has anyone been charged? Let's see. Did they use insurrection? Is this the new collusion argument? Is this what we're doing? Let's see. Let's see. No. 720 people have been arrested. There you go. Let's feel it. Capital siege. Here we go. 725. Let's see. Oh, come on. I have the list. Where's our old list? Yeah, 2,000 to 2,500 people actually entered the Capitol building. Only 727 have been charged, meaning that they're letting a bunch of the other people walk. So when they say these people were trapped and they didn't do anything wrong, they're just getting a fucking fine for, picketing in the wrong place or without a permit. The same shit you get when you do a sit-in in the Capitol. A lot of those folks are being charged with that. But the people who took a shit in the place or stole things or beat cops or broke windows or attacked police officers, those fuckers are going to jail or in jail. Here, wait. I'll find the actual list. I thought that was the other link. Give me 1 second. There we go. There you go. Parading, demonstrating, picketing, Capitol building. Other charges dismissed. She was the one who said on her phone, "We're going to shoot Nancy Pelosi in the friggin' brain." She got released on her own recognizance, even though she was on tape saying she's going to do this because she didn't actually have a gun. It ended up being bullshit, like everything else. There we go. Let's see. These are the charges. There you go. Guilty 1 charge, obstruction of an official proceeding. They're letting tons of these folks go. These are the victims of the Biden regime, who's jailing people and stealing their freedoms. 2 felony charges: obstruction of official proceeding, assaulting certain officers. This is this dude, Scott Fairlamb. His sentence was the longest of the 32 sentences issued up to that point. He pled guilty to assaulting a Capitol police officer along with Devlin D. Thompson. There we go. 1 and 2 police. Guilty obstruction of official proceedings. The charges. They're letting people off so that they're basically it's reconciliation charging. There we go. Guilty 1 charge interstate communication of threats. It's making terrorist threats. No. Parading, demonstrating in the Capitol. Other charges dismissed. These are people who are just walking around and waving shit. Let's see. Entered the grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon. He had bear spray. Let's see. No official announcement is made. The band. This is the dude Iced Earth who got the lead singer of Iced Earth who got charged. Carrying the Confederate battle flag dude. He didn't get charged with anything. I don't know what the fuck they're bitching about. Parading in the Capitol. Let's see. Assaulting certain police officers using a dangerous weapon. First participant plead guilty. Oh, this is Devlin Thompson's buddy, Scott Fairlamb. 46 months in prison. Where did they go? I don't know which rules are these? Are these the people who've been discharged? Wait, hold on. Because that's not the whole list of charges. Where is it? Change the capital. Okay. This was the insiders one. Okay, here we go. This is a great table, by the way. Really good graphics. Are they just not keeping up on what's happening? Okay, let's do what Jody do. Oh, it's an entire list, the PDF of the entire thing. Look at that. This is, I see. It's their entire... willfully knowing engaged in disorderly conduct, disruptive conduct within the United States Capitol grounds and Capitol building with the intent to impede, disrupt, or disturb the orderly conduct of session of Congress in either house, orderly conduct in that building appearing before the deliberation of the Committee of Congress or whatever. Like the specific charges on this. So they didn't call it insurrection. It's not collusion. All we did was play footsie. Right. Anyways, you can go through and look at all of those.
It's Ted Cruz. You know, I mean, Lion Ted should know that the establishment...
That's back from the convention.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Fighting Ted a lot more than I liked Vote Your Conscience Ted. But
I mean, I usually don't interrupt. Look at them all shitting on Ted Cruz. Please continue.
This is Lion Ted lying down.
Oh, old dogs don't learn new tricks.
And I just think that, like, they're never going to love you, Ted. The establishment is never going to rally.
Yeah. Sorry, real quick, Dum. I know this. I'm nitpicking now, but you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Not old dogs don't learn new tricks.
You, those aren't the right questions to be asking. And this is why the War Room is so important. This is why what Marjorie and I are doing today is so important. We have to focus Republicans on Capitol Hill on the operative.
Yeah, a laser focus, and no better lens exists than a shitty little podcast in your living room with a giant bloviated bullshit macho flag in the background.
Questions. And we cannot take the bait or chase the shiny lures away.
Don't chase rabbits. Get to the heart of it.
And the heart of this issue is that you have a national security apparatus and a regime that wants to turn its exquisite powers against a political movement that they fear. And they do so not in defense of democracy, but as an affront to democracy. You see, they were so worried that the truth about this election was going to come out, that we were going to have the...
If they're worried about, quote unquote, the truth of the election, why are they not arresting the other 1,500 people who were in the Capitol that day, or the other 3,000 on the fucking steps? Or Mike Lindell, why is he walking around? It's the same Alex Jones bullshit. I know everything. I've got the documents. The whole country, the world. It's a new world order. They're after me or whatever. I'm absolutely gaining, making shit tons of money every year and getting fatter every year because I've never skipped a dessert the entire time. I've been telling you that if they had one chance to kill me, they would. But I'll eat anything put in front of me in a public gathering without even sniffing it because I know full well I'm bullshitting my entire audience. We have the documents, and by that I mean my wife's divorce papers.
As Peter Navarro said, to lay out our case, not with violence, but with affidavits and evidence
for 24
and arguments.
12 hours per chamber 24 hours total on global television.
And a lot of people don't know this, but we had divided into...
Then show up, motherfucker. This is the other part I don't get. They won't let the truth out. They don't want the truth to come out. They don't want the truth. January 6th called you, dumbass. You don't think that'll be on the news? You don't think they'll run it live if Steve Bannon ends up being on there? You don't think he's enough of a media, dog and or pony to have people air what he fucking says? What's the problem? If they don't want to hear, if they're afraid to hear the truth, fucking sit down and say it. Yeah, Jade Helm 15. Yeah, this is Jade Helm 22.
To specifically lay out this evidence over the hours that were constitutionally required for this process to occur. And Marjorie and I...
Bullshit. That's not what you were doing at all. The idea was, it wasn't evidence. You were going to float this bullshit, which you knew was false already because they'd already done recounts in Georgia, for example, and go, but there's still a lot of people that we've been telling not to trust the election. Don't trust the election because we lost and they can't believe they lost. So there you go. So we need to stop all this and just not have a president until we can have the president we want. Yeah, go on Lindell TV, fap around.
Actually, the Michigan team.
Yeah.
We didn't find a whole lot of
Sorry, the Michigan team. You mean Melissa Caroni and Trump farting on Jenna Ellis? That Michigan endeavor? You don't even know. You don't know who these people are. You don't even know. How do you know who these fucking people are? You don't know. How do you know? How do you know? You don't know. You don't know. Do you know? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, let me ask you a question. How do you know you voted? How do you know your vote is voted? How do you know you're voting? How do I know I'm voting? Maybe I'm voting right now. How do you know you know? Shit.
And energy and courage in the Michigan delegation. And so Marjorie and I stepped up and said, we will look at what happened in Detroit. We will look at the votes not reconciling in Wayne County. We will look at the changes unilaterally.
Yeah, they did that. They looked. You're not even from those fucking states. So again, members of the federal government want to insert themselves, a Georgia House of Representatives member and a Florida one want to tell Michigan that they're doing it wrong. Because the federal government is not supposed to be involved in state elections. Remember?
Election law, and we will lay this before America to force positive change. And that was disrupted by violence that I believe saw higher acuity as a consequence of the assets and agents of the federal government. And
it was the assets and the agents. If it wasn't for the FBI holding the door open for us, if there hadn't been an FBI guy standing in front of the door to the bathroom, a die-hard Trump supporter would not have taken a shit in the Capitol that day or pissed on one of the columns. If they'd have just handed out podiums, a maggot wouldn't have stolen one. Good God. Like, these are the people, they want us to trust them with the reins of the country. And yet their argument is that their followers, the people that support them, that believe in them the most, can be led around by, if you just had an incense that smells like Trump's farts, you could just walk around and they're like, what is that? It smells like home.
Every day that passes where people like Ray Epps, where people like Scaffold Commander aren't called to account, only
Stuart Rhodes.
Stuart Rhodes. Hold on one second. By the way, they brought up that Ray Epps guy. Hold on. This is one of the current, Ray Epps. Ray Epps, The conspiracy claim the attack on the U.S. was a false flag conducted by federal agent hinges largely on the identity of one man. Here we go. Who is Ray Epps? January 5th, 2021, a day before the mob, a day before. So not on the same day. And this was before Trump said, walk down there peacefully and patriotically, but if they don't do what we want, you're going to have to be strong. The day before that day. U.S. Capitol delayed the certification. Then President Joe Biden peacefully the attack on the Capitol involved hundreds of Trump supporters who had become enraged by the false claim that the 2020 election was marred by widespread fraud. Right? Yep. Who is Ray Epps? Epps is the owner of the Naughty Barn, a wedding and event venue in Queen Creek, Arizona. According to the Daily Mail, the 60-year-old man is also a retired U.S. Marine. Epps is also a Trump supporter and appears to have long-running ties to the Oath Keepers, a far-right anti-government militia that formed shortly after the election of former President Barack Obama in 2008. Epps was listed as the president of the Arizona chapter of the Oath Keepers. Was Epps at the Capitol? He told the Arizona Central that he did indeed travel to D.C. for the Stop the Steal rally. A number of photos and videos appear to capture Epps in the area. The night before the attempted coup, for example, a video appears to have Epps telling a crowd to go into the Capitol. I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it tomorrow. We need to go into the Capitol peaceably. Peacefully. We are freedom. We are peaceful. That's what it's about. It's not about hurting people. As Epps makes these remarks, some members of the crowd can be heard in the video chanting Fed. Oh, that he's a Fed or... Yeah, is Epps a federal agent? There is absolutely no evidence to indicate that Epps is a federal agent or that he was working with the government. Claims to that effect are based largely on the fact that Epps was not among those arrested following the attack on the Capitol. I'm sorry. Everybody who says we need to do this but didn't go is a fucking plant from the government. Alex Jones, Roger Stone, Nick Fuentes, all those fuckers, they're coming for you next. Why wasn't Epps arrested? As it's writing in the U.S. Department of Justice and FBI have arrested more than 720 people because he didn't actually go into the fucking Capitol. That's why. Because he was a mouth like a bunch of these assholes. As it's writing, U.S. Department of arrest 725 people. The law enforcement was largely focused on individuals who unlawfully entered the Capitol building. Yeah, he didn't go. He's a Fed. Well, and by the way, this is the story. Understand the concept that we're talking about here. This is from one of the live streams. He's saying, we need to go in there tomorrow. And people are yelling, he's a fucking Fed, he's a Fed. So the night before, they weren't buying it. But on January 6th, after Trump said, walk down there and I'm going to walk with you, even though he didn't. You know, it's interesting. Trump also said he was going to walk down there with him. Epps insinuates that he's going to be there as well and isn't, as is Trump. And Trump works for the federal government. Maybe there's something going on. But they knew the night before. All these Trump fans are going, Fed, Fed. Why the fuck did they follow him the next day if the day before they were like, this asshole's trying to get us in trouble? Was there a gullible spray? Did they use that at Trump rallies? That makes sense.
Stuart Rhodes.
Oh, is that his name? Stuart Rhodes?
Well, Stuart
where's
Rhodes.
Stuart Rhodes, FBI?
Yeah.
Has anyone talked to him?
Yeah, Where is Stuart Rhodes? Who is Stuart Rhodes? Let's see. Stuart Rhodes. Who is this guy who talked to our supporters? Doesn't he realize that? Stuart Rhodes. Here we go. Investigators contact ex-Oath Keeper featured in ABC's news documentary. Leaked database reveals 100 current former other ties to North Bay. Albert Stuart Rhodes, Oath Keeper. Will the Oath Keepers founders spill on the Jan 6 organizers? You mean this dude? That guy, Stuart Rhodes, the founder of the Oath Keepers, has the power to burn some top right-wing personalities who pissed him off. It's unclear if he'll actually do it. Members of the Oath Keepers, a far-right militia group, which featured prominently during last year's attack on the U.S. Capitol, feel betrayed by the headliners of the protest that day, names like Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, and Ali Alexander. All the folks who also said, go in there, do it. I'll be right behind you. I gotta make a phone call. Let's see. Those organizers January 6th rally asked the militia to stand guard for them on that fateful day. If that's really the case, it could introduce even more culpability for those GOP figures. But Rhodes hasn't decided whether he'll answer questions at his upcoming testimony before the Jan 6 committee, according to a person familiar with his thinking, or lack thereof. Rhodes was slated to appear before the House panel in a closed-door meeting this week, according to an attorney with direct knowledge of the arrangement. But the testimony was postponed for unclear reasons. If and when Rhodes does appear, though, he could shine a light on a number of key questions for investigators. Rhodes has information about the planning, coordination, intent of the organizers, as well as any impossible preparations for violence. Okay, so by the way, this is yet another thing where the Oath Keepers are a fucking false flag. They're a plant themselves. 3%ers, Oath Keepers, any of the well-known, the Proud Boys, it's all part of a giant psyop by an organization within the CIA, I'm sure. That's where we're getting. Anytime they catch these motherfuckers, they're like, they were always on the other side.
We see him in the DC jail.
Yeah,
Can somebody go knock on his door, please?
My expectation is that if we can marshal the...
By the way, the woman who's trying to get people out of the DC jail, who attacked police officers physically, while their friends who helped them attack the police officers have walked free, but they didn't actually do the punching. They just held them down or helped corner the police officers so that they could punch them. Those guys get out, but the people who actually hit them are in jail, and she thinks those people should be released. But this fucker, sight unseen, a sitting congresswoman, is suggesting that a U.S. citizen who has been charged with no crime should be thrown into a DC jail without an indictment or a grand jury. That doesn't sound draconian, fascistic, or communistic at all.
Focus of Republicans on these operative questions, it will show the American people that the pain that they are suffering right now is a direct consequence of this regime being turned against them.
Okay, I got to go back here. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you got Jay Corman in this huge fight now he sent a letter to McConnell in defense saying, you've got to send these back. I need 10 days to certify if this was done correctly. That was the Commonwealth by not just the Constitution, by the Electoral Count Act of 1877. Okay, he sent it. You've got, you guys.
No. You don't get to do that. It's already been certified. The only way they get set back is if they object over everyone else in the fucking state. If the federal government takes over effectively the Pennsylvania election, that's what that asshole was asking for the vice president and Mitch McConnell to subvert the will of the Pennsylvania voter and insist that it become a Trump state when it was not. It had already been certified. They already had electors. We're well past that point in their own state. They sent their electors to Washington. The only way he could subvert the will of the Pennsylvania voter was to get the federal government, the current vice president of the current administration in control of the U.S. government, and the leader of the Senate Majority Leader, to take the right to vote away from all Pennsylvanians and enact a federally mandated version of an outcome. Because freedom.
Go through quickly. There was a well thought through plan to spend those 24 hours, 12 hours per chamber concurrently, to go through the details of Arizona, in Georgia, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, the low-hanging fruit, maybe throwing a Nevada in there too.
Right, and you didn't even need all 24 hours to line up troops outside the place and put the National Guard. I'm sure Trump would have patiently waited and told his supporters, just sit outside, torches in hand, get ready, because if it doesn't go our way in the next 24 hours, because it would all get knocked down, it wasn't going to go anywhere. Pence was just going to go, no, I'm just here to count the votes. Fuck you. You can object all you want. You can spend fucking 2 days doing this. It's not going to change a goddamn thing. And then the whole thing just gets a larger and larger crowd gathering outside with Trump gleefully watching all of his people. Got to look at this huge rally of psychopaths that are gathering around. All the people from my rallies just showing up to subvert the will of the majority of the voters in the United States because he can't face a mirror without knowing he's a loser. Gleefully watching them try to destroy the government.
Through the effort that have been done to do that we had the world stage to do that.
Well, here, Steve, this is
the world stage.
No one liked the riot. We've all denounced it. And today is all about memorial.
Well, yeah, but in all fairness, I didn't like it because it was an attack on democracy and an affront to democracy itself. And it was a violent attack on police officers, which is fucking disgusting, which is somewhere in the order of something, oddly enough, I find more upsetting than Tucker Carlson does. How is it that I'm the one that takes this serious, besides the fact that I have Ellie in my family, but just in general, that, literally Tucker Carlson is shrugging about attacks on cops. Yeah, it's not terrorism. It's just attacks on cops. It's just attacks on, it's just about, yeah.
And lifting it up. Democrats don't care about
Marge is, by the way, Marge is mad because it didn't work.
Riots. If they cared about riots, they would have stopped the riots in 2020. They use riots for their political goals. So what we did.
Well, Trump was president, and the riots did slowly come to an end after the George Floyd, after charges were filed, after all that stuff. It was definitely directed at that later. By the way, there was a cops program to get rid of people like Derek Chauvin, and Trump got rid of it right about the time he got rid of the pandemic response team. And 2 years to the fucking day, this fuse he lights suddenly blows up in his fucking face.
We worked very hard on Michigan, and then other Republicans were preparing for the other states.
So every state had a delegation.
Every state had a team.
Not even from.
Yeah, everybody had a team. Not the people from those states. Because fuck them. This is the federal government telling other states. This was a version of that AG
They
charge.
had a team, and you guys are going to go through.
Yeah, Jody Heiss was leading
We were
the
so
Georgia
gonna-
team.
it was gonna be
Scott Perry was
awesome.
leading the Pennsylvania team.
Yeah.
Jim Jordan was going to be the floor manager. So we were
Well, yeah, he was going to be the delegate in charge of looking the other way while they fuck democracy.
approaching this like a trial to be
Yes.
conducted with argument and evidence. That
Which is
was
legal.
the effort. Yeah,
It's legal.
And by the way, what was so frustrating to us is that we had a recalcitrant Department of Justice that was standing in the way of the review of evidence. And a lot of people don't know about this, but there were
By the way, in the months past, they're acting like they're talking on January 7th and apologizing for this as if the last fucking year hasn't happened, as if we haven't been through cyber ninjas, as if we haven't had multiple reviews in Wisconsin that gave Biden more votes. Same thing in Michigan. Same thing in bullshit Pennsylvania and Georgia. As if the phone call that Trump said, find me these votes, didn't come out.
cases that I am personally aware of that U.S. attorneys were fielding around the country where there was evidence of fraud. There was a Democrat supervisor of elections in the state of Florida that was waving their hand saying that there were fraudulent requests for vote by mail ballots that were being filled out by these Soros-funded groups. And when those...
Were they? Because I know that there was, let's see. I know that there have been some arrests about voter fraud in Florida lately. Now, granted, they've been in the Villages, you know, the place famous for having its golf cart parade for Donald Trump. They're all Trump voters. They all voted twice. They voted in two different states. This dude, these folks, remember these guys? Yeah. Here's 6 Trump votes. That's what we're staring at right now. We're all staring at 6 Trump voters. 8 if you count this motherfucker. That's right. You do the math. 3 people, 6 Trump votes. 3, okay.
When those cases were being brought to the public integrity section at the United States Department of Justice, it was hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
You're saying the public integrity section shut that down? Shut those
Absolutely.
inquiries down?
I'm saying that from the chief of the public integrity section to the deputy chiefs, they were standing in the way of this. And when I asked
to suppress this.
And when I asked Attorney General Garland, do you have lobbyists and political consultants working in the public integrity section? He said, well, yes, we do. I said, well, can we at least know who they are? If they were lobbyists and Democrat political consultants standing in the way of evidence, can we at least review that? And he said, I won't even give you their names. So this isn't...
Well, yeah, so you can't dox and manipulate them, dummy. Oh, yes, it's 5:20. Thank you. I've got about 10 minutes left. I'm never going to be able to get to, like, all this. God damn it. There's so much stuff. All right, and I've got got a 6 o'clock appointment. There's so much stuff. All right, let's jump in and do this Jan 6 thing, because they're going to it's the same shit. This is only 5 minutes long. It should be easier. Sean Hannity has on Jim Jordan and Jim Banks, the two gyms. The third worst gym to be around, of course, in the gym, there's Jim Jordan, Jim Banks, and the gym that people were in where they were sexually assaulted and Jim Jordan looked the other way.
Joining us now, two men kicked off the January 6th
gym.
committee. Congressman Jim.
No, they were not accepted to be on there because they were going to be witnesses. You cannot be a judge or a juror in your own trial.
Thanks, Congressman Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, I'll start with you. Were you given a reason?
Where is your coat? Look, we all understand branding, but this is getting a little silly.
You were kicked off the committee, one, and number two, you just heard from the Chief of Staff of the Department of Defense, confirmed by the Inspector General of the Department of Defense, that all of the things they did were correct. Why were you kicked off the committee, and what are your thoughts about the issue of Nancy?
Dude, he's going to be called before the committee. All three of these motherfuckers have evidence to give the committee on the receiving end of the committee. All three of these guys. How does he not recuse himself from this interview? Hannity is actually sitting for this. Here's a good idea. You want to do a segment, Hannity? Here's a good idea. Ask Jim Jordan, if you were on the Jan 6 committee, what questions would you ask me about that day?
Pelosi and the mayor of D.C. rejecting Donald Trump's call for troops 2 days ahead of time.
No, I think that's why we were kicked off, because Jim and I were raising that question, and then we found out she wasn't going to let us serve on the committee. First time in American history, frankly, Sean. First time this has ever happened. And I think she's afraid.
Well, it's the first time it's ever happened because never before did they need to put a committee together where the people that were being suggested by the other side were a part of a fucking attempted coup.
Getting to the truth. Why is it the Sergeant at Arms office will not, Nancy Pelosi will not let them release the communications and documents that surround this whole decision? Why is that? They won't release the information. So, yeah, we got.
Let's see. Because it's not germane to the decision-making process, because it was up to Mayor Bowser. Let's see. Well, we've been through this shit before.
Conflicting testimony between the Capitol Hill police, who said the police chief said he requested the National Guard be there on January 6th. Sergeant at Arms says, no, you didn't. Conflicting testimony. So one guy says we asked for it. One guy says we didn't. The guy who didn't is the one who answers directly to the Speaker's office. And that office will not release the communications between the Speaker's office and the Sergeant at Arms and the other communications.
So your biggest concern, if I'm following you on this, is the idea that there should have, because Donald Trump was having a rally that day around the Capitol and something important was happening, that there should have been more defensive people there, because clearly Trump's supporters are violent morons and anybody could have seen this coming. Not that Trump, why won't Trump release the communications with the war room? In the Willard, the people who actually coordinated, the people who were actually on the offensive that day. But it's important, all right?
Sergeant.
No, Jim and you aren't allowed to be on it for the same reason Sean Hannity isn't on it, is because you are going to be on the receiving end of subpoenas or requests for documents, information, or testimony.
That question.
Maybe I've been cynical in my old age. Why do I think probably they've been bleach bit by this time or smashed with a hammer? Congressman.
Well, because no one's left office during that time, and that's standard protocol when you have government devices like that to do that to them.
Let me ask you, why doesn't this committee call before it subpoena Nancy Pelosi, the Sergeant at Arms, the Capitol Police Chief, and
because none of them, because it was her laptop that was stolen, because the Sergeant at Arms did not shit in the Capitol, carry a Confederate flag, smash windows, create a battering ram, beat a cop with a Blue Lives Matter flag, or tell people to walk down there who ultimately did that. That's why. Here's how you, when there's been an attack, how come in our question about 9/11, why we look to who did it first before we look to how we could prevent it better next time? Why do we not immediately go, why don't we just is there some sort of force field we could have put around the Twin Towers? Isn't there some sort of should we have a program in place to I mean, isn't it really that Dick Cheney, why didn't he ask that all planes be shot out of the sky earlier? How come, yeah, but what about who did it and why they did it? No. Not important.
Mayor Muriel Bowser, why aren't they being called?
Sean, the most important thing I read today on the internet was a piece from former Speaker Newt Gingrich in Newsweek, who said,
So from that, we are to garner what?
They don't like the gas.
Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong one.
I don't read, obviously.
he knows firsthand as a former Speaker of the House that it is the Speaker of the House's responsibility to oversee the Capitol Police and oversee Capitol security. And it gets very uncomfortable when you go down that path. You realize that the breadcrumbs lead to Nancy Pelosi's office.
Oh, that's why they came. I see. MAGA supporters and Trump fans, they were just following breadcrumbs. That's why they stormed the Capitol. It's like, oh, carbs. I haven't had carbs in weeks. Num. They were lured by comfort food. Is this stuffing? Holy shit.
And that distracts from the circus, the narrative. Today it was January 6th, the musical at the Capitol. That going down and following the breadcrumbs to Nancy Pelosi's office means that she was negligent.
Is that how they got to into her office and put their feet up on her desk, or that girl stole the laptop that she attempted to sell to Russia? It was the breadcrumbs that let her know where that laptop was?
Oversaw a systemic breakdown of security at the highest levels of the Capitol Police.
Yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't an attack on our democracy. It was a systemic breakdown of security at the Capitol.
That led to the Capitol.
Talk about, first of all, like blaming the victim en masse.
Unsecured on January 6th. That gets very uncomfortable for Democrats to go down that path.
No, it doesn't. It's a waste of fucking time. You are confusing outrage with embarrassment.
Jim Jordan, only people that voted to impeach the president, to the two Republicans that are the biggest never Trumpers, you two are both kicked off the committee. I don't see any.
Well, they're going to be called before the committee. Jim is, anyways. The other Jim, not that Jim. This Jim. GYM Jim.
Effort to subpoena Nancy Pelosi or the Capitol Police Chief or the.
Yeah, do it. Tell you what, Sean. Go into her office, find the turd, lick it, tell me if it's her brand, and then we'll call her based on your CSI evidence.
Sergeant at Arms or Mayor Bowser. My question is, does that then make this?
My question is, how did they not know that a bunch of Trump fans gathering on January 6th in Washington wouldn't be a fundamental physical threat to America? Who couldn't see that coming? I mean, do they even law enforcement, bro? How do you not know that Trump's going to stand there and say, walk down there peacefully and patriotically, but if you get there and they don't do what we want, you're going to have to be strong. You're going to have to fight back, or we're not going to have a country anymore. And if Mike Pence doesn't do what we want, we're not going to be very happy with him.
A sham committee with a predetermined outcome, whose only goal is to bludgeon Trump again, and with the hopes of.
Why would it bludgeon him? If you get to the bottom of things and people testify, if Bannon speaks, if Jim Jordan speaks, and what they have to say is flattering about his response on that day, why would it bludgeon him at all? Why wouldn't it clear him? Why is the assumption that anybody on the right who has to testify in public, from McCarthy or Mark Meadows or Jim Jordan or Trump himself or fucking Bannon or Roger Stone, why is none of that testimony flattering? Why is the assumption that it would just bludgeon Trump if he did all he could and it was somebody else's fault?
Purging him from any future political.
Because it's not, they may not be subpoenaing Nancy Pelosi, which is a waste of fucking time, but they sure as shit are subpoenaing people like Bannon and Jim Jordan and others for documents and information. And those guys are not wanting to sit with him. They are denying and avoiding and like fighting those subpoenas actively. Right? It's one thing, they're not calling the right people. Well, they are calling you. Fucking go down there and say it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys letting me know. By the way, you're listening to Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide and watching it on, it's a special Saturday program. I'm not used to doing it this way, but we had some extra stuff and I wanted to get to it. And I still didn't even get to the one I wanted to. And yet here we are. I'm almost at time. I've got a couple minutes left of this one and then I'm out and I'll see you on Monday, but hang in there and don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, become a patron. Super chat, become a member, subscribe on Twitch, twitch.tv/HalSparks, or don't, just enjoy.
No, that's exactly right. Shows how partisan it is and, frankly, how out of touch it is. Think about it, Sean. We've had record crime, record inflation, record number of illegal immigrants enter the country over the last year. And what are the Democrats?
No. We have a record number of recidivism where people are trying to come back in. They keep getting kicked out. So the number's extra high, but it's a 52% recidivism, which means the number's actually half. The actual people crossing is half of what has been said, which is on par with or lower than previous years. And inflation's only fucked up year over year because it was in the toilet last year. Oil was negative $36 a barrel. You understand? These assholes still want to pretend 2020 didn't happen.
Doing today? Oh, they're having the cast of Hamilton come sing a song on Zoom, for goodness sake. So it shows how out of touch they are and how much they want to go after President Trump. But the most disgusting part of the day was what you referenced in your monologue.
Did they change the lyrics to go after Trump, or did they just sing a Hamilton song? I didn't see that. I don't like Hamilton. I thought it was shite. No offense. But
where the vice president of the United States says this is
Thanks, Terry.
January 6th was the equivalent to Pearl Harbor, was the equivalent to 9/11. Tell that to the granddaughter whose grandfather gave his life on D-Day. Tell that to the son who's
Well, yeah, they fought so that we could have a peaceful transfer of power in this fucking country. If you told them that, they would go, yeah, my grandfather died so shit like this wouldn't happen. This is absolutely an attack on our democracy. On par with that. The fuck are you talking about?
Dad was one of the firefighters who went into the tower on 9/11. Or frankly, tell that to Max Soviak's family. Max Soviak, one of the 13 people from our district, one of the 13 people who gave his life for our country this summer. Go tell that to them.
Yeah. One of the things they're protecting with their lives as members of the military is the fact that we have a functional society and a peaceful transfer of power. That one party, when they lose, doesn't storm the fucking Capitol and violently assault members of our elected government. Why wouldn't they agree, dumbass? This is so weird.
And this is from the same lady who was raising money to bail people out of jail who attacked law enforcement in the summer of 2020.
No. I know you like to conflate all black people in one lump sum and anybody who likes black people into the same group. But raising money to get protesters out of jail that were scooped up in arrests when they were just protesters with rioters and looters, for example, and they were given extraordinarily large amounts of bail against those folks, like compared to those folks, helping those folks get out, which was the goal of a lot of those organizations. And making that difference between protesters and rioters and looters, which you guys don't make a distinction between, ever. It's all the same. It's always the same group. All the George Floyd protests were riots, were arson. No sundown to sunup bifurcation. No differentiation between the black bloc assholes throwing fire bombs and the people who are walking in the street arm in arm. Same folks, according to Jim Jordan. And trying to get the people who were in those protests who were arrested for sitting in or whatever, getting those people out of jail is the same as trying to get somebody burned at Target. So since that happened, since they make that conflation that all rioters and looters are the same as the protesters, and if you try to get protesters out, you're trying to get the rioters and looters out, that it's basically a wash, and that we should, for it to be fair, talk about communism, for it to be fair, the Jan 6 people who beat cops with Blue Lives Matter flag should be released because they are political prisoners. Don't
tell that to those individuals. That's how ridiculous and out of touch the Democrats.
Oh, put on a jacket. You're indoors, fucko. Show some respect.
Democrats are.
Jim Banks, I only have 30 seconds. We lost dozens of Americans, thousands of injured cops, billions in property damage. The Democrats either were silent or said the protests in the summer of 2020 were mostly peaceful. Where's that committee?
Biden actually, may I? I mean, this is the one thing. Let's see. Let's see. This is, remember what, just think about the words that Sean Hannity and Jim Jordan and Jim Banana all want you to think Biden ran on who he is, what Democrats wanted, what they said about rioting and looting, right? Think about what you've just basically heard, not just in this segment, but in everything they fucking talked about. Right? Remember this, okay? It is Jim Banks. I just don't care. I'm just messing around. Jim Jones. That's what it is. Thank you. Thanks for the correction, guys. This is an actual quote from Joe Biden. Do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters? Rioting is not protesting. Looting is not protesting. Setting fires is not protesting. None of this is protesting. It's lawlessness, plain and simple. Ask yourself, do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters? Really? I want a safe America, safe from COVID, safe from crime and looting, safe from racially motivated violence, safe from bad cops. Biden said Trump looks at an instance of political violence as his political lifeline. He keeps telling you that if only he was president, it wouldn't happen. If he was president, you'd feel safe. Well, he is president, whether he knows it or not. And it is happening. It's getting worse. And you know why? Because Donald Trump adds fuel to every fire. That was during the campaign. That was Biden talking about rioting and looting. It's lawlessness, plain and simple. Meanwhile, Trump is over here going,
we're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Mm-hmm. For fuck's sake. Oh, I will. I'll tweet that out so you guys have it. Such a, and by the way, has Jim Jordan ever crafted a bill that we know of? Ever? Oh, shit. I got to get out of here. Yeah, 10 minutes. There's only about 30 seconds left. Give me a second. All right. He's going to wrap it up.
It doesn't exist. 2,400 police officers were hospitalized from BLM riots in the summer of 2020, Sean. And I've never heard a Democrat breathe a single word about those police officers because
let's see. Breathe a word about those police officers. Let's see. Biden on anti-cop violence. Well, this is the easiest one. Biden opposes defunding the police. Here's what that means. It means Sean Hannity is a fucking liar. It means Trump's a liar. It means he lied during the entire campaign. I mean, we saw this multiple times. This is April. I mean, for fuck's sake. And that was updated in April. The original version was June 6, 2020. I'm coming. Okay, I'm done. All right, hold on. 32 seconds. Let's finish this out.
Doesn't fit into their anti-Trump voter narrative. They don't want to talk about that. They obviously want to create the circus that they've created today.
I'm sure you both have great confidence in Adam Schiff, who led one of the greatest post-election lies for 3.5 years and dragged the country through hell. He sits on this committee. You can't make this Adam Schiff up. You really can't. Thank you both. Appreciate it. You should be on the committee. It shows how corrupt.
No, you shouldn't. Any more than Sean should. I gotta go. All right, thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'm glad you came in for a special show. Appreciate all the support. Love you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. I gotta go. I'm late. I gotta go. Bye. comment.